Okay, I think we need to add a slash in front of this. Oh, yeah. So we're going to, yeah, I think number is 27017. I think that should be the number for local host. Yeah. So now let's continue. So we've created this. Now let me do something. I always like to wrap my code in try catch to catch for error. So I'm going to do try catch. Now, going to just paste that back. So if that's successful, it should give me console.log. Let's see, connected to MongoDB. Then in my error, the error I'm catching, I just say console.log and you see okay, well, let me just split out the error. So by saying error dot message, so error dot message, so that's going to be out. So now what I want to do next is I want to export this, or let me use module dot exports equals to connect. So when I do this, I'll just use it in my index.js. So now let me just go into my index.js and do that. So you just press Ctrl P, then just type index.js, so you'll be there. So the next thing you want to do now is you want to bring it in here. So let me just bring it in and bring it in before the app initialization. So let me just say const, let me call it connect, require that should be the dots. So let me clean up something so that I can be sure of the directory. So dots, then I should get the config slash database. Yeah, so this should be correct. So now next thing we do is we just bring it in. So we just say connect. So just say connect. So if, for example, I want to use the URL from the online or URL from Atlas, I'll just put it in and it will work because of the way I've set up the code. So the way I've set it up, I've set it in a way that I can use both the URI or the local string. So this is my local connection. So if now I can just take this also off and put it in, let me put it in the .env file and call this, let me call this Mongo. Okay, let me call it Mongo underscore DB underscore local. So equals to this string. Yeah. So equals to this string. So let me just copy it so that I'll just put it there. So let me just press Ctrl P into what's the name here, database. So then I'll just put that here. So I'll say process dot env dot that name. So doing that will help me to access that. So now let me see why I'm getting that error. So it's telling me what have I done wrong. Okay, I think I need to install a package. I think that is .env. So let's do that. Okay, let's do that. But before doing that, let me ensure that that's where the problem is. So let me just return it back to the previous state. Let's see if it is running. So it is running. So why am I getting that? Oh yeah, the TNV, that should still be it. So let me return it to the initial state. So I think I need to install it right now. So let me just install it. Let me stop the server. Let me go to the server and just say npm install that package again. Install .env, and that should be a development dependency. So let's install that. So while installing, let me check my code again to ensure there's no error. So don't forget, we need to always debug for errors, and it's a very essential skill to be able to catch for error. So now let me just clear up this and just run npm run once again. Now let's see if we still get an error. So we're still getting an error. So it's not the .env that is the problem. So let's look at where the problem is. When we use a normal string, it was okay, but when we changed, we started getting this error. Okay, must be a string. It got an undefined stop. Yes, our .env is still the reason. So let's do it now. So const, let me just say const. Let me destructure out something. Let me just say require .env. So let me save. So now let me change this back to config. Now I have my config. Let me just call the config. Let me just call this call config. Yeah. So I think so this is working fine. So now let's ensure that our code is. So you can see it's running. So the reason why it's not running is because we did not have .env installed earlier. So so it's connected to MongoDB. So you can see when we're having the error, it was able to split out the error. So let me scroll up. So we got the error. It told us that the error, telling us that the URI, it means the string we are passing in must be a string. So it got an undefined. That's why we got that error in the connection. So now let's go to the model to set up the model. So let me just close my terminal so that we can have enough space and be happy. So now what I'll do now is I'll just bring in some stores from Mongoose. So from I'm not using ES6, so equals require, then I do Mongoose. So what I'll do is I require two stuffs. I'm going to bring out two stuff from there. So the first one is the schema and the second one is the model. So I need this to do. So let me over on them and see what they do. So the schema, all the structure elements are okay. The schema, so see what it looks like a class. So then the model, let's see, still loading. Model is okay, yeah, so we can see the model. So the model is a function in the Mongoose. So now let's just continue. So we should always try to highlight to be sure that our code is correct. So what I will do now is I will create a const user schema, then I'll say new schema, then I'll put in what I want. So let me say I want a username, and I want it to have the following property. I want it to have the following properties. I have on this thing. So I want to have the following properties. So let me break things down. Break this down. So I want to have the following properties. So we're having the next thing we're having is we're having type, and the type should be string. The type should be a string. So let me just change this up. So to change things up, you just press Alt and up arrow key. So that will change it. So when you have printer, you can just press Ctrl to help it format your code now. So I think this is okay. Then we'll go to the next one. The next one should be our email. So the type should be the type should be a string also, and it should also be required. So required is true, and we also want it to be unique. So only one person with an email should register. So not one person should register with the same email. Not that many people should make, but only one person should register with the single email. So it should be unique. Now, what I want to do next is, okay, let's do something. Now there are some properties. All these properties we are just adding different types. So we can say mean, length, and if this is correct. So mean length, let's say 3, and let's see max length. Let's say 20. So let me just over around it to ensure that I'm correct. So property number, max number. So we can also do that for this one. So we can do that. So I'll just copy. So I'll just copy these two. I'll copy them. So press. So that is done. Now let me add just the address. Yeah, just the address. And the address will also be a type of string also. So we have been using string. So let's try to do something. Let's do something that is not string. So let's look for something. Let's look for like a boolean or number. So let's say okay, let's say age. So age is let's give it type. Let's call this number, and then it does require this. Let's delete this. So let's see. So there's another property we can use. So we can say defaults. We can say defaults. So defaults null. Yes, let's leave it as null. So next thing we want to do is we want to add a status. So let's see. Mouse is scrolling itself. So let's see. Okay. Let's say it's married. It's married. It's married. Let's set that to, or let me use something different. Let me say is user. So let me set that to type of boolean, and let me make that the default true. So when it is created, it will be true. So by default, whether the person sets it or not, the person is a user. Now let me set another thing. Let me call it is an admin. Is admin. So it's admin. So let's set this type to boolean also. Then the default should be a false. So the default should be a false. Now there are other things we can add. We can add time. So, but I'm going to take you through a better way of doing that. So we're going to use the timestamp. I'll show you how to use the time data. So to use the timestamp, you open the curly brace and you write timestamp and you set it to true. That's all you need to do. Yeah. So that's all you need to do here. So the next thing we need to do is, don't forget, we exported the schema. Now I've used that. Now we need to use the model. Now what I'll do is I'll just define const. Let me call it user model. equals to, then I'll write that model that I structured out. So write mode, I'll need write model, then I'll put in just a users, then a comma, and say, or yeah, users, then I put a comma and say user schema. So the schema that we used, so that's what we put in there. So now the next thing we do is we want to export. So let's export. Let's use module.export. Now it's advisable to use module.export because we're only exporting a single thing. So inside the module, object, we have a lot of things. We have path, we have require, there are many things. We can see what is showing us here, but what we need here is the exports. So there are many global variables available and many properties available, but let's use this and just say user model. So we are exporting just the user model. So I'm having an error here. Okay, that's gone. So now we have created our model. So let's go into our controller and set up something there. So what we want to set up is we want to set up, okay, let's bring in the model first. So the model is what we're doing. Let's call it user, then we say require, then controller. Okay, that's not the direction. So let's see. For suggestion, loading, nothing loading. Okay, so it's the controller. So that's controller. Then we have the user controller. So you can press Ctrl Enter to go to a new line. So you can do that repeatedly to go to a new line. So what I want to do now is we're going to be creating some things. So let's just write it out. Get all users, then also get single user. I also want to update user. I also want to delete users. So let's do a first one. So the first one is get all users from. Okay, let me remove from. So to remove the from, you can press Ctrl and D to select everything that looks alike. So that is going to remove it for you. Now what I want to do now is take notes in the model. I use model.export because I'm exporting just the single thing. But here I'm going to export a lot of things. So I'm going to export get all users, get single users, update users, and delete users. So because of that, I'm going to be using the export global variable. So for the global yeah function. So let me just write exports dot the name of what I want to do. So let me call it get all users. So get all users. So I'm going to have an arrow function. For the arrow function, let me make it an async function that has the request and the response. So now, so what I want inside is I want to do a try and catch. So you try and catch. So you try and catch. So you try and catch. So let's go with the error. So now, okay. So what I want to do is I want to bring in the user and show us the results. So let me say let users is equals to await each user that we brought in and put dot find, and that's all you need to do to find a user. So now what we need to do is we just need to send out that response. So then we say status. So let's format the message so that it will be well understood. So let's say success true, show that it is successful. Then we also want to add a message saying users found or retrieved users successfully, anyone you want to use. Now the next thing we want to use is I just want to call in the users. That's all. So this is what I'm sending. Now if I have an error, I also want to send out the response and say res dot status 500. Now I want it to I want it to be success as false. I want it to be message. Yeah, I want to pass in a message. I want to write it as internal server error. And I want to pass in, I want to send out the error of the error dot message. So we are fine with this. So this is what we are saying now. So I would like to test each and every one of what we're doing. So let's go to the router. So to go to the router, you can just press Ctrl P, then just type user routes, then you are there. So nothing is here. So we need to bring in the express. We need to bring the express module and say, let's call this router and require express dot that router. So dot router. So we are fine. So express dot router. So what we'll do now is router dot get. So we are having our parts of the server. We are having a function here. So we are here to bring in the function. So to bring it in, bring this down a little bit, then import this. Let's say called controller is equals to require dot let's see object. So moving out of the folder, we go to controller slash. So go to controller slash. We have user controller. So let me validate something in my user mode. Let me ensure that the user model is available here. So because if the user model isn't available, then you feel see we made a mistake. We're importing the wrong thing here. So this one should be the model. Then it should just be model according to what we named it. So let's validate that this is correct. So this isn't looking correct. So let's try to fix that. So let's see. So we have the model, then slash, we have the user, then we have model. Okay, user, yeah, that's the name. So the name is user. So now let's go back into our router. So going back into our router, we can now hold it by saying controller dot. So the method, so the name of that method is get all user. So get all user. Now what we need to do now is we need to export. We need to export this. So we also use module as export. So module export is equal to router. So let's open our terminal. Our terminal has been closed all this while. So let's ensure that our code is running fine. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to bring our index.js file and bring in those stuffs. So all we need to bring in is to just bring in the user route. So let's say user route. Let me name it as user route so that it will be descriptive enough. Then require So once you acquire, I know my mouse keep going down. So acquire. So let's put dot this. Oh, we have gone too far. So you just be a dot slash. Let's see what we get. So that slash, then we put the controller, no, not controller, the router slash user routes. So user routes. So that's the name. So now we want to use it. Now before using it, we also need to do something. We also need to, let me duplicate this. We need to destructure something out of Express, and that is JSON and URL encoded. So URL encoded. So I'm not using everything now, but okay, let me move the URL encoded. We use it when it's time to use it. So let's just leave this. Now let me use something. Now we call something app.use. So app.use when you want to use something. So use that. So app.use, we have then comma, we have let's call it this user routes. So I'm going to put a slash user, then under this I'm going to put app.use just the JSON. So I'm going to take this up, yeah, make it look better. So now this is done. So I can test with my Postman, but because of I'm not yet doing a large project, I will want to use something we call the REST client. So the REST client is something I've introduced in the previous video. So I have an error in my code. So let's try to fix that error before we go too far. So string is not defined. Where is this coming from? From model.js line 6. So string, oh, this should be a capital S. So and that should be the fix. So string is not defined. So let's drag this down so everything is correct. So press Ctrl W to close. So that's been closed. So next thing I want to do is as I mentioned before, I want to use REST client. So not to mess up the project still, I'll just create a folder and just call it REST. So or let me call it REST. Yeah. So inside this REST, oh, my REST is outside. It's in the wrong folder. Now I want to show you how to do this, how to remove a folder from using the terminal. So in case maybe you have a exploit, your trackpad is not working correctly or something, so we can just do that with the terminal. So you see move nv. So you move REST. Okay, let's enter the folder src slash move REST. Move it to let's say to just dash slash this. So you can see what happened. It brought it outside. So this is how to use your terminal. And I advise you always try to use your terminal to avoid distraction. Yeah, so let's continue what we are doing. So inside I want to create something called user.rest. So for the sake of those that did not watch the previous lesson, so let me show you how to use the REST. So how to use the REST. So you go to marketplace. So let me leave this Zen mode. So Control key and Z. So leave Zen mode. Now I want to go to market to just show you where it is. So in case you don't have it installed, you can just optionally use Postman. Just type REST client. So when you type REST client, it's going to bring. So this is it. It has the documentation is with it. So what you can do, let me close my terminal so that you can see it. So you can just scroll down. They have a lot. They have the way you can use the examples. There are a lot of examples there. So I also learned from looking at the examples there. So let's just close that up. So we have a lot of files open currently. So to close your sidebar, just press Ctrl B. So we have a lot of things open. So you can just press Ctrl W, yeah, to close everything up. So you just press Ctrl P and you go into that user rest. So what I want to do is I want to use a get method to get everything around. So HTTP localhost. Our port is 3000, and our path is user. So our path is user. So I'll just click on send and let's see what we get. So we get true user found, but that is false. No user was found. So let's try to fix that in our code. So let's go to user controller. So user controller. So I will just write a condition for that. So I will say if user length is equals 0, let's return the 404 error. So return something. So let me use return rest.status and call this 404, or instead of send, let's just customize it. I say send, let's change to JSON. So JSON, and we're passing some informations. So information like success is false, then message is no users found. No users were found. So I wrote found, yeah. So found. So no user was found. So that's no user was found. So let's save this and test our REST client again. REST clients. So let's test it. Let's test our REST clients once again. So I'm going to just press Ctrl P and use user.rest. So user.rest. So we're going to continue. So do it there. So and say no user was found. So in the part 2 of this, I'm going to show you how to do the create, the update, and the delete.